every corner of this planet. No knowledge has been dispersed so there are people listening from every corner of this planet. No knowledge has been dispersed so beautifully, so balanced across the planet, on this planet ever, maybe in the universe. You have the full potential of achieving everything in the universe. There is no need and there is no reason for man not to achieve. So, wherever you are, the way I taught you to make the coils double coil inside, you have continuous equal gravitational magnetic field, and if you put CO2 on it, and you put zinc on it, you have connected the emotion of the man to it on a stable condition, and you'll find out you become a very peaceful man. Here, instead of having galaxies and universes and creating connection magnetically, we have used the matter state gravitational magnetic field strength to dominate and dictate the shape of the plasma. The nanotechnology, the nanomaterial which you have collectively developed in different ways, by caustic, by electric currents, by whatever, fire or whatever, has that advantage that the matter, the nano and the plasma is all the same. So connection is very solid. It's very strong. The power of the plasma technology, the way we have thought, is beyond imagination of the man. Now you can create and control the plasma, which is the mother of the creation of the universe. You are given the seed of the essence of the creation. The foundation does not belong to no one and is not made of one anymore. You are developing it, you are structuring it, and from today we will be still the same. We'll still develop the technology in different names, in different colors, in different nationalities which they do not exist. It is beautiful when we see the Christian, the Muslims, the Jews, and every other belief are working together to build up systems. We have already become one faith. We already have become one nation, and we already become one planet. You got to remember one thing. Dates is irrelevant. Today is the last day of the Christian calendar, or tomorrow is the beginning of another. One day is connected to another. We don't stop. We are working around the clock. The Keshe Foundation team is working irrespective of time, position, religion, country. And now we achieve what we set out for.
The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to medical doctors of any practice and specialty to apply to the Foundation's private weekly medical teaching workshop. This includes medical doctors, dentists, and veterinarians. Scientists of the CEST Foundation developed different types of plasma therapies and cures that utilize advanced, non-invasive plasma technology. The weekly private medical teaching workshop educates doctors to the plasma science behind the therapies, along with the functionality and operation of revolutionary plasma medical devices. The goal of the private teachings is to add plasma health knowledge to the profound knowledge of medical doctors. The weekly class is broadcast live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central European Time. Presently, the class is only offered in English. However, you are free to bring a translator to the class. If you can't participate in the live broadcast, you can watch them later at your convenience through a private internet portal. Every patient's case that is discussed in the workshop will be kept anonymous and private. This includes cataloged findings and data gained from the analysis of the patient's health issues. Any medical doctor in the world who wants to participate can do so by sending an email to doctors@spaceshipinstitute.org. In your email, please state your willingness to participate in the medical teaching workshop. If you're planning on bringing a translator to the workshop, please state this in your email as well. After we receive your email, we will contact you with the instructions on how to apply to the workshop. As a part of the application process, applicants who apply, including any translators brought into the workshop, will be required to sign the CEST Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. All applicants will be required to provide proof of their education and ability to practice medicine, and will also be required to pass an extensive security background check before they are granted access to the teaching workshop. Healthful plasma technology is here, now, the use of which is increasing exponentially on a day-to-day basis on every continent. We encourage you to come and learn about this revolutionary technology. Apply today. CEST Foundation Ghana, in association with Ghana Atomic Commission and Ghana Spaceship Institute, would like to invite you to attend the New Dawn, Africa's Meteoric Rise in Spaceship Technology Conference, October 17th through 19th, 2016, in Ghana. CEST Foundation Ghana's mandate is to build awareness and promote research into plasma technology. The Foundation is presently working with governmental institutions and other interest groups in Ghana to fulfill this goal. At the conference, you will be afforded the opportunity to learn about and experience plasma technology firsthand. The cost of admission to the conference includes 3-night stay in one of Ghana's prestigious hotels. Hotel packages include a single, double, or twin room option, and an option for an apartment or suite. Breakfast, tea, and coffee breaks and a buffet lunch on the days of the conference are also included. CEST Foundation Ghana is focused on utilizing plasma technology to solve numerous problems facing the African nation. Come to the New Dawn, Africa's Meteoric Rise in Spaceship Technology Conference in Ghana. Learn about plasma technology and learn how you can participate in spreading the word about it. Together, we can bring freedom to Africa and humanity. And we hope to see you there. CEST Foundation.
Welcome everyone to the 136th Knowledge Seekers Workshop of the CEST Foundation Spaceship Institute. And it's September 8th, 2016 today. And once again, we have Mr. Kesh of the CEST Foundation available to speak to us and deliver today's teaching. And as always, we have lots of surprises in store. And I think we'll get immediately into the workshop here. Mr. Kesh, are you there?
Yes, good morning. Good day to you as usual, whenever you listen to us. Today, as usual, we take the course of teaching where and how we can develop the knowledge and extend the knowledge to the point that we can achieve new understanding of the science of this plasma. As you're all aware, we are developing different aspects of the plasma technology in respect to different applications. In some forms, we are developing technologies which at this moment of time are not so easily understood, and there are those who needs to be understood in a bigger and a larger scale of application and application. In talking about what it is, we have thought for a long time, we inspire, and in inspiring, we try to understand where and how some of you will take the knowledge to the next step. Today, we start with a number of cases which people have started to extend the knowledge and to understand different aspects of technology. One of these cases, if you remember, goes back to where we saw Peter bringing and showing us how he's managed to make what he thought gold, and was shown that he made matters out of the interaction of the field plasmas. This is important as part of the teaching of the technology, and Rick has a PDF file, or if Peter is in the background, he can explain to us, because now they have tested the material which he collected, and we get an insight into the working conversion of the field of plasma into matter state. This is very interesting because it's not one matter, it's a composition of matters. And this brings a new understanding into what and how we can develop matter out of plasma field interaction. And it's for those of you who are interested in what I call plasma interaction field forces, for us to understand more and to expand this knowledge. Some of you would like to make different materials at different interaction points. Some of you would like to have a specific type of materials out of the interaction. So we go back to this because this is part of the development, and in a short time, a lot of you I know tried this to make materials, and we'll see what we learn from this, and then we go to other cases. Peter, are you in the background? Rick.
I don't think Peter's going to be here. He writes, unfortunately, I cannot follow the workshop today because I'm flying right now to the conference of the Universal Council in Rome.
Okay.
If Mr. Kesh wants to discuss the results, here they are. He says,
okay. Let's show, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Let's show the video first. We have a video of him. Do you have it available, or do you want to show
I don't have a video. I only have the pictures of his results of the different elements, and there's a PDF of his results from the lab, I guess, that he had the test on.
Okay, can you show and go through it?
Okay. Okay, we've got some lab data here. It's in German, so we might have some trouble figuring it out, but it's basically, you can see the elements there and certain percentages and so on that have been determined from the sample, apparently. And Peter writes that, he says, so far no gold has been found, but it could be that the particles have been too small or not enough of them to be detected. It was just a first try and a first step, but the results are quite interesting. What I should also mention is the substance I thought was gold GANs wasn't gold GANs. It turned into a greenish color after a few weeks. So the coins I used to produce it must have had some copper or other stuff in it. This too may change a lot. We will analyze them too in a few weeks. They have found two combinations which the device recognized as alloys. One called 16MO3, which is a common steel alloy, and the other ALSI12CU1, which is labeled as an aluminum alloy. Some would say it could be some abrasion from the motor, but I'm very careful with an interpretation. Maybe Mr. Kesh can say more about that. I added for you the two data sheets. You see, there's the one we're looking at, and there's another one here I'll present now. Actually, I think these are the two data sheets, perhaps. Let me share that. Okay, so again, we see there's a number of elements you can see across the chart here: carbon, silicone, magnesium, and so on, and different concentrations that would indicate this particular steel. This is the steel 16MO3, which was, I guess, the closest match to the analysis of the substance that they had at the time. And goes on to give all the characteristics of that substance and so on. And Peter goes on to say, let's see. As you can see, these alloys are composed of lots of materials. Some of these, even if they are in a higher percentage than the others, haven't been found. He's wondering why some of the other materials that are shown for this particular kind of steel that they have a match for, why are they not shown in the assay or the interpretation, I guess. And he says, I had only one type of motor with only one type of covering, which could be either from steel alloy or aluminum alloy. But why the device has found both? And why should there be an abrasion if there's no friction with the cover? More questions than answers. He says they have found iron, copper, aluminum, molybdenum, manganese, and zirconium. Why the zirconium? Manganese and zirconium showed up quite often. He says, I'm very excited about the experiments and want to continue as soon as I'm back from Rome. Yours, Peter. And then he shows some other results, which I'll show the picture of. This is the copper percentage, and he's got similar pictures for the manganese and the iron and zirconium, and just another couple of pictures similar to that with more data. And I think just one more of those kind of pictures with the zirconium shown on it. So I think that's about it, unless you want to go through some of that data more, Mr. Kesh. I guess it's pretty clear in a way, but we'd have to look at it quite closely if you wanted to see exactly all the percentages and so on. Do you have any comments on whether you think it might be part of the the motor parks or some other.
The point is, we've seen the same. If you go back to the first chart, please go back to the very first one you showed, the very first page, and go to the next one, the same. Can you put these two next to each other? Okay, no problem. What we've seen in chemical test and Raman spectroscopy test is that all these materials are in the vicinity of the system. So when the two systems create the fields, any matter state which is there has an interaction of its own fields which dictates the deposition. When we did the original Raman spectroscopy and material analysis of the first ganses and the fields of it, if you go back into, I think, the book which we published the paper, we've seen in some 14 different elements out of one GANS. And we've seen 22 elements out of one GANS. So we never had 22 elements. But what they say, what it shows itself at, is the system produces ganses or fields that replicate materials, and then it converts itself into it according to what is the field spectrum in the presence. This is what happens in the space. The energy is released by the sun, and in release and interaction with the rest of the plasma of the solar system or in the galaxy, when it reaches certain point of strength and there is a match for it, it manifests itself as that matter. This is how matters are created on Earth. It's not that the theory of the fusion is false. What happens, the plasma at the given strength, and then when you find this matter state, it converts into. This became very, very clear in early stages in the time when we did the Raman spectroscopy on the GANS materials. In part of the report which we received after the test, there were materials which are exotic. They call exotic. They think in the future man will be able to produce, but they could not understand how it shows itself in a matter state in Raman spectroscopy machines and infrared spectroscopy. So what you actually have is a beautiful data confirmation. It's a repetition of what we've seen when we did the test in 2008, 2009 in Ghent University in Belgium. That the field matter exists, and when it reaches the point, when you create a magnetic gravitational field point of it, it manifests itself at that point. So when we see a composition, it's whatever is in that environment, the motors, the ganses, all components which are in the matter state create a field which, with the interaction of the plasma, interaction between the two cores, creates and releases that matter state. This is interesting result, and in a way it shows how we can produce materials in a space. We create the plasma, we bring the interaction of the fields together. Can I share a screen, please?
Go ahead, Mr. Kish.
Okay. So what we've seen in the is there something you want? Just wait. Okay, carry on. Yeah. Just wait 1 second. Okay. So what we have two motors, two which are rotating the two GANS systems. These motors are rotating the dynamic GANS, and the dynamic GANS interaction creates a spectrum of fields. And in this spectrum of fields, we have put a balance system, whatever was gold, whatever the gold was made of. all the elements within this structure have a say in what is to be produced in this environment. Exactly where what we see, what happens here, you have a spectrum of fields. So at any point, any material in a given strength, where the gravitational increases on this end, if I can show it this way, the gravitational increases on this end and magnetical increases on this end. And then you have the gravitational and magnetical vice versa. Any of these systems, whatever they have inside them, every element in these motors, because now it shows clearly a matter has its own gravitational magnetic field. They have a say. In fact, let's say, look at, for example, the material in this motor here has a say on the conversion of the fields in this zone, even in this zone. So what we think as a matter sitting there, we know matter itself is a plasma, and a field still interacts. So whatever in this interaction of the box of fields between the two has created becomes the matter at this strength. It will show itself collecting here. We can create monoplasma fields as best as we can in both of them. Then we dictate the creation of the system. We are looking at this in the what I call the Innovation Center. What we are doing in the Innovation Center is very simple. This is the next generation of the power supplies. This is the next generation of the magnetic gravitational field supplies. We've seen Wernie explaining to us that they created a wireless system, which you saw, and they could pick up fields 35 meters, and that's the wall that gives them the limitation. If you look at it, it's a 70-meter minimum what they can measure, but we know scientifically this can go in thousands of kilometers. What we see in the whole structure is that the fields are radiated continuously at the full spectrum. If and when they put these units in a car and they drive, not only the car which is within the range and any other car within the range gets affected by these fields. They all rev up. What does this mean? This means that we have managed to break through into confirming the new energy source. This system itself, as I was explaining to the Innovation Center, this is a new oil well. This is a new generator. Now we have managed to create this Innovation Center. We showed you what we call the plasma units with the 3 bottles and everything else. This is your new oil well. This is your new thought. This is your new source of energy. It goes back to what we just spoke about. It's for you now that you have this new energy, what we call the plasma fields energy, which you brought from plasma, liquid plasma, to understand where and how you can create or develop another system that you can tap into this. If you find a system, at this point you create copper, here you will create zinc. Here you can produce high energy plutonium, aluminum. Here you can produce hydrogen. Now the next step for Innovation Center and a lot of you who work on the field plasma, you have received what was the biggest point in the whole structure of the teaching. Plasma source. This is the new power generator we are working on. It's for you the same as what has happened with Peter's system, is to develop a technology that you can convert the energy to what you need. The cars, is number of cars in traffic. They all rev up. Wernie, are you in the background? Can you see Wernie in the background? Rick? Have I been talking to myself?
No, just having a look here.
I thought I've got to planet Zeus.
No, I don't see him in the viewers either. Oh, okay.
Okay, can you promote him? He can explain to us what you see.
Mr. Kesh,
Yes.
this is Bernard.
Are you there, Bernie?
Hello, Mr. Kesh. This is Renan.
Yes.
Bernie has just left for a while. He'll be back in 20 minutes.
In 20 minutes. Ah, okay. Okay, no problem. Could you explain to us what you've seen, or what is the development you see with this in the cars, please?
Yes, sir. What we have with the wireless system bottles, so using the configuration, the distance, the effect of the car's engine is not only for the individual car. So within that certain range, other cars are also affected. So it's like having a connection with a certain element or certain plasma of every car, which we were looking into because we have used gravitational as lead. We're looking into the connection with the fuel that we have here that has also a portion of leads with it. Once combusted in the engine, can also affect a direct absorption with the fields emitted by that device. So the interface between that we're looking into how to connect with the device and lowering the energy level so that it can be absorbed with another receiver. So then we can utilize and manipulate the energy that can be harvested by that field being emitted. So that's one thing that we're looking into as well, in how to capture the field that is being emitted in that certain level of energy or a level of plasma. So the test that's being done by Bernie also in the shop, it was a isolated case, as the car was a brand new car with no other devices connected on it. It's still brand new, and only one device was placed in his car. So we have verified that it has increased in a city traffic, which is having a medium to heavy traffic, has helped increase its mileage to additional to 30 kilometers. So he's been repeating that, and it's been consistent for already a month with effect. So this is at least the continuous observation that has been done here. Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
Okay. Thank you very much, Leonard. So what we look at now is what we call new energy source. A new power source is for us to find out how we can capture. We have found the source as what we call the sun. It's for us to decide where we want the zinc, where we want the copper, where we want to create oxygen and the rest. There are two ways to do this. This is why we teach this so openly, that you can develop this your own way very rapidly, because some of you are in that field, understand this very quickly. We have what we call the plasma units. The plasma units are producing the field plasma. The field plasma is radiated. Now, what you have a problem is, you made this system of the 3 different cups and 3 different materials with a mixture of gases in them. Law of plasma tells us, plasma, which is a source, tries to feed the smallest, the weakest. So we need to create a position, a condition here that has a connection with this in strength, at the same time is weak, that this system, the source, tries to feed. And in the traffic trying to feed this, we tap into the energy of the plasma. Depends where from the source, or if we decide to go on the gravitational or the magnetical side of the field flow. What does this mean if you translate it into practical language? Is that you make the what we call the plasma unit. We know it's releasing fields. We know one of the center components which has the property of gravitational is, let's say, lead. You make a system with a very small amount of lead in it. So has to be more or less of the same composition as your bottle. In that process, you have established the traffic. You don't need huge amount of, you have to have as minimum as possible lead in the center of the system you have built. So now you create the traffic. There are different ways of tapping into this. This brings the fields in. It's for you to be able to understand. We lost it. I lost my pen. No, the pen doesn't work. Can you hear me in the background?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we lost the use of our pen. Just 1 second. He had a heart attack.
Okay. Can you click on the tools icon there? Or, oh, I see you're using an actual pen.
Yeah, I start playing with it, and it doesn't like playing with. Just wait 1 second. Let's see how his heart attack goes. If there's any brain left in it. There's nothing we can. No ink, but it's ink, invisible ink. I have disconnected something, most probably. Just wait 1 second, please. Can I go? Shall we go out and come back in?
I saw it working there. Something, I can see it on the screen now.
Well, you see it, but you don't see writing. Any
No.
line.
Maybe you have you select a color, select a different color perhaps.
We try that. It doesn't connect.
Okay.
It doesn't. It's lost its connection in so many ways. I lost my pen.
Is there a button on the pen, Mr. Kesh?
Yeah, I touched it, and this is what happened.
Can you press and hold it, or just press it again?
I'm gonna disconnect it and reconnect it all together.
Okay.
We lost it. No, don't touch.
Yeah, now we see everything you did before, so.
Ah, we got everything back.
Mm-hmm.
The scroll is there. Okay, wait. We got to get our heart back. It's coming back. Yeah, we are back. Okay, we are back. It was a connection with it. It's back, no problem. No, we lost it. Oh, we are back again. It's okay. We are back in. We can go. Okay. What is important is now to find a process and different processes that we can use this field at any point we need and convert it. This is the new structure for wireless energy transfer, material making. This is a static, so you have a static condition, a fluid plasma, which is constantly more or less the same. How you change the plasma, make it dynamic here, make it combination of a static or dynamic inside, will dictate from now on what materials we start producing. This is the beginning of the breakthrough for production of materials and energy. The difference with this system and Peter's is Peter had two dynamic systems. Here now you create a parallel system with a wireless energy source. You can keep it steady as it is, and now convert energy statically or create a dynamic unit here that interacts with the steady system. Then you decide what you produce in line. As I said to the Innovation Center this week, you've been looking for an oil field of energy. Now we have it. We have managed to establish resources, and it's not that one car gets affected, is number of cars within the vicinity. This is the way we understand and we can develop as a point. This is something which Tesla in his work understood. But he only worked on a field, not on a plasma. He only worked on magnetical, not the gravitational. It's the extension of the knowledge in plasma technology, and it's for you, in the way that Peter has shown, what kind of materials you can produce by the fields of the matter state or the GANS state you introduce in the environment, what you want to pick up. If you remember, go back into what we showed in the system with Marco. We had, if you go back to the teaching, with the 12 bottles outside and bottles inside, little bowls. You said with the reactors, side reactors, you decide what material you produce in each environment. This is another version of it. Now, if you understood what Peter has done using two dynamic, he had no control, because now whatever is in the vicinity is dictated, is created. With the plasma field containers, which you saw, what we call the wireless, now you have a fix. You can fix it. This is the range I want to work at. This is the fields, which the combination of the systems shows. Do you have a picture of the bottle structure, please?
The Peter's structure, you mean, with the two?
No, the unit which was shown last week, or Renan has got it in the background. The bottles, the triangular bottle, what we call the plasma, liquid plasma containers. Renan, do you have it on your the screen? You can share with us.
I will get it, sir.
Now, the beauty with this system, which is built by Innovation Center, if Werner was there, he could explain to you in more detail, is understanding this changes a lot for all of us. These plasma containers, I stop sharing that you can come in. These plasma containers change a lot of things. These plasma containers, in the way they are built, the way you build them, you load them, materials you use to load them, will dictate from now on what energies you get, what energies you want to release, what traffic you want to produce. At certain points you can create what you need. Till Renan gets this, I'll show you another part and adding to the knowledge. What we are teaching you today is what is the Innovation Center is working on. So we need the knowledge to be added by those who understand. My request to military people in the background, Chinese military and the same the Americans. You understand the application and implication of this technology rapidly in South China Sea. The delivery of the technology dictates to us if we want you to have a visual side or physical side. You see these bottles here? I try to, I have to go to the maximum to be able, oh no, I need to go to the maximum to be able to use these options, yeah. Okay, you see this is the new oil well. This is the new structure of the GANs which you have created. And now, depending, we know if when he was here, he would have told you that this, where I put a red circle around it, is the wrong use. It cannot be seen. We use the green. If we see where I put the green circles, these are your center points. So you have created the system. If you are on this side with your car, it's different than if you're on this side with your car. If you have a system here, will develop different materials because it's interaction of these fields. Here is the interaction of these fields. Here is the interaction of the two, but they all have a common ground. So you, in immediate vicinity, you create one common ground, but you can dictate in which side what you want to produce. This is the free energy system. You can make it more powerful, not by going up to a heavy element, by going down to tritium. If you go down to tritium, it gives you every option of the energy and composition of energy to be released at high strengths up to exotic materials. This is how materials are created in the universe. This is what you have to understand. Go back to the teaching. When you have a heavier materials, you have a heavier gravitational pull. So if you understood the structure of the nuclear in this, can I share please? If you go back to the understanding of the nuclear and plasma technology, we see as part of our teaching now comes to understanding. As you go further in, you increase gravitational. As you go further out, you increase the magnetical. Now that you start using more and more of tritium, hydrogen, you go more and more deeper into the gravitation because you have already used the magnetical. You can go with tritium to most exotic materials man could ever imagine. You do not need to go to plutonium and find new materials. This is one of the reasons I collaborated with the Japanese in respect to TEPCO, because their problem is that they don't understand that they have the biggest resources man ever had in those reactor containers. They were looking for gold, but for me was the confirmation that I can transfer hydrogen to gold. This is what is happening in that condition. That's how they get the conversion to monoatomic gold, the white, which they showed it. You need tritium or a plasma availability that not only has its own energy and extra neutron, but it has its own balance fields of the plasma, which is the deuterium. In the interaction and combination of the use of deuterium and tritium gives man the capability to produce any material in the universe. You don't need to go and look for plutonium. You don't need to go for heavier material, because that's the old physics. The new physics, what we understand on the plasma, it tells you what happens. The more you use of the magnetical, the deeper you go in gravitational. Hydrogen, 1, 2, 3, 5, heavier gravity. You have zinc, you have copper, and everything else. So the understanding is very simple. You don't need to produce materials. You need to convert these systems which you make as a plasma field to be based on tritium materials or deuterium. Or you can go with the hydrogen, which is the matter state of it. Deuterium is nano state of the hydrogen, if you use it the right way. Hydrogen, H1, is the matter state of it. But you have to understand in which environment you want to apply it. When you go into the tritium level, you go into the plasma level of the hydrogen. So you don't really need to look for what you call heavy elements. You need to look for how the interaction, you can strip more to add to gravitational side of the tritium, or take down to hydrogen on the magnetical side. This is what the new technology is about. This is what is in the universe. Energy transfers in the universe on the level of monoatomic, what we call principle, which is nitrogen. Then it's the nitrogen which in its division of its division becomes hydrogen, then it becomes deuterium, then it becomes tritium. Application and use of the new technology with plasma changes the whole understanding of the physics which we had up to now. You do not need to look for anything else but deuterium and tritium. The three states of the matter of the hydrogen, in the matter state, in the transition state, or in the plasma state, is the three states of the hydrogen as we know. This is how the universe was created. This is how the division of the division has led to division of the reality of the creation. And one moves as an electron, as a collector. So you have to decide in your systems, in understanding of the new technology, that do not get mixed between the matter state and the plasma state, but understand the revolution and evolution of the plasma. This is what I go back on, that those of you who did not understand, and I've been doing this for, well, from the beginning of the teaching. Remember, gravitational increases where magnetical increases. When you put lead inside, you increase the gravity. So you go to the heavier materials. When you put hydrogen or CH3, you go the other way. This is the process that you can create every element out of one plasma. It depends on the condition of the environment, which section of these fields it extracts, and what then the material manifests itself at that point in the universe. This is the structure of the creation of the life in the universe. This is how universes themselves are created. The present nuclear physics is nothing but fallacy. Because if you understand the plasma physics, you understand 99% of what we're taught as physicists, nuclear physicists, and chemistry is all based on the wrong part of the science of the creation. And this is why we see resistance. This is why we see complication in producing materials, because if you understand this process of the conversion of only magnetical to gravitational and whereabout, it brings you back to the two motors of Peter and the materials in them and what he sees. The universe, at any point, you can produce whatever you need because the fields of that matter exist in that point. It's you who has to create the condition for it to manifest itself. This is how galaxies exist, how they manifest themselves. This is how stars appear in our systems. This is how the moons and the what you call the planets appear. This is how life has appeared. We are another small version of a bigger structure, but repetition of the same. And once we understand this, what we've seen, what we reported is in the book. I can't remember which book we published the paper regarding the gas. I think it's book number 2. Now we get a confirmation in a very simple way, but now you see the matter state of the release. As you remember, Peter cleaned the place with tissue, and then when they cleaned it, they saw materials. It's the same process. It's the interaction of the two fields, and according in which part appears, the matter is in the coils, the matter is in the GaNs, the matter is in the winding of the copper coils, and all the materials which is within the GaNs of the motor within the environment of the system, if the system condition is of the same match, will drop down. The weight of gravitational field of the Earth pulls it down and it gives you the material you like. This is how you will create matter states in the universe. This is how oxygen and hydrogen in upper levels is created in the plasma. And then as they move down towards by the gravitational pull of the Earth, they become matter states that we breathe. We inhale, it becomes a fertilizer, it becomes the gold and everything else. So what you were looking for, you have found. We have found two sources of energy. One is the gas, which is rotating, or a more complicated one, what we saw with plasma unit supplies. Now, the race is not to have a generator. The race is to have the ability and capability to produce whatever you need. If you're looking for the energy systems, if you're looking for produce what you call as energy, remember what I just explained earlier. You have the flow, you create a matching of the triangle system or your dynamic system in the center. You put 1 gram of lead in this center, and you put thousands of a gram of lead here. So you created the umbilical cord interaction. What you need to do is very simple. Go back to the teaching, go back to the understanding of the process. You started from the matter state, you went to the nano state, and then from nano state, you created the GANs, and from the GANs, you created the fields. Now you have the fields which are moving, but you have destined here where I want most of the fields here to come into. What you have to do is to create reverse of this process. You have the fields, you found the gas in the center, you need to create a nanomaterial environment in this container here, and then on the matter side you take your charge. A reverse of a battery. This is how the battery works. You connect the inside to the outside, the body to the center. This is what you get the charges. Now you have found what you want. Possibility of 1 megawatt, 1 kilowatt, 1 milliwatt. But now you have to understand how to convert this energy to what an application you need. You want it to be energy for hydrogen, or are you looking for energy for electricity? Creating 1000 megawatts, 1 kilowatt is the same. It's you who have to decide what strength you put into this and how you want to move this forward in a spectrum of the gravitational magnetic field. Or you create the same capability here, that you change the mass of the lead here, for example, according to what you want to produce and create the traffic. Remember, balanced fields create nothing because the flow is very weak. Those of you who went to produce the generators and you find problem with generator is because you bought 2 pumps of the same strength. There is no flow. You have to understand creation of the plasma, field flow needs injustice, needs unbalance. That one tries to balance the other one, and you, by traffic they create in them, you tap into the energy, one at the magnetical end, one on the gravitational end. And a lot of you have made a mistake in this system that you both tap into the same line on the gravitational. You won't get anything. So the same thing goes with your plasma systems. Now you have an option on a number of ways to create matters and energy, and what you're looking for should not be a few watts, it should be megawatts. You need to understand this process to enter in the world of the plasma technology and universal motion. Because electron vibration is too weak. You need to be able, if you want to move to a planet or you want to move away from the planet. You dictate it by the fields which your system emits or absorbs from its environment or destination point. This is how you create motion. This is moon. This is your system. By factor, you're much smaller, weighs so heavy, and your system so light. Do you want to come to moon or do you want to move away from moon? Do you tune yourself to gravitational magnetic field of it or of you? If you create of you, because you know it's become gravitation of the moon, you increase your magnetical, you get pulled by the gravitation of the moon. You want to move away, you play the reverse. There is no difference between this or producing matters in any state. My advice to our military people in the background, and the Chinese, you understood the way we paralyze the ship movement in South China Sea. We do not need you do not need to create much. What you do, you have a source and you put one away. All the ships here, you decide what traffic you create. This is part of the development of the defense technology in space. In space, you cannot keep on moving to miss the clouds or magnetic fields. You find your destination, you create a protection field that it can allow you to move in. It does not matter what is on the way. The process of the conversion of the energy into matter and into what you call fields is the decision of the man who uses the system, if you understand the system. You have been given two resources. Is for you to start translating. We have given you the oil well, it's there. It's for you to decide how you want to use the fields which they emit. You hear from Renan and Innovation Center, the cars in the vicinity get affected. And this is with this system. With the dynamic, you have limited yourself with what you have put in, and with the creation of rotation, you don't need to have other motors to affect their components by the matters you create. You have to understand, as I've taught before, how universal motion is created for the stars. There is no motor underneath of them. The creation of the field motion for the systems that gives you a unique condition to create what you want has to come from the rotation of the fields. And this rotation will give you rotation of the fields which you desire, and out of nowhere you create a reactor. This is the next step in the knowledge that you have to absorb and understand. You create the same as what you did with the two reactors using their fields. Now you can create the fields with the ganses in a gas state, that the interaction between the two creates reactors which has no physicality, but just 1 second please, I have to answer this. So you understand that this is the way we go from now on. And we see the process. You do not need to have coils to run on the motors. You need to create a dynamic motion of the fields that they're in interaction, give the center for what you need according to what you do. The basis of this, which you never understood, but I'll bring your point back into understanding it. There is a blueprint somewhere in the teaching. This is why we brought Douglas into the teaching, into the Innovation Center. Do you remember the rising and falling of the gases, which we saw with Douglas? This is the backbone of the space technology without him understanding it. All you need to do, make it this way and put two of them that they go counter. The field interaction of falling and rise will create a motion, and it gives you a reactor without boundary, beginning of the creation of the cell, beginning of the creation of the neutron. And then according to the environment you have, it manifests itself as a matter state. In the Innovation Center, I have taught people very simple thing. Get yourself two ring tubes, 4 millimeter, the one we use in the Apple Health application, and find out in which combination of the two you start creating the motion of the fields, and you will start seeing the creation of reactors, what you need for deep space technology. And this system, because it's created out of the interaction, will have its dynamic motion. This is how stars are created. This is how the universes are created. This is how when the neutron splits as a fundamental element, it becomes electron and proton without any motors, and they rotate. The field interaction at the beginning and the interaction of the two creates the physical motion without any motors. So if you understood this, if you understand how to create this, you'll find out you don't need any motors. Then you decide the creation. Once you create, this is very condition. Once the human body is created, the physicality will manifest itself, and you create motors with motion and the field plasmas that will understand and will stand the tests and trials of the universal field forces. Then you take control in how you want to change it. These are motors, these are dynamic systems without any elements. You do this way, the systems you create, dynamic system you create, do not have any limitation. One of the things which is important, and it brings part of the teaching together, you understand, is what we said last week with Renan and the test in Philippines. In the Innovation Center, they told you that the center core is empty. We hear from the people who lose the center ball, they just disappear. What's the reason? How does it happen? Because the field plasma inside is made of the matters which are outside. You transfer the same thing. You have to look where the energy has come from, or the balance energy is, that in transferring, you transfer the matter state out, but the field state stays in the center, because the second core still has the material. The center is disappeared of the entity. It's the conversion of the fields into another position. You have other reactors, you have other materials you made this reactor with, so you have emptied. You can literally take these covers, these plastic covers out. The system will sustain itself. The pieces of the knowledge you have gained now comes to the maturity in a way. Now you can see systems without motors. Now you can see how universes, planets, and the rest according to their strength are created. And if you understand this, you decide if you're going to have a gold reactor, copper reactor, zinc reactor, or a reactor which is made of tritium or whatever you like. But you got to understand the process. You have to understand how the system works, how you see it. If you remember, go back to the knowledge you gained. We saw many people 2 years ago, they start putting pictures on the internet that they could show the flow of the plasma gas on top of the container. This was the first sign, but nobody saw it. If you could have managed to build another system, a tray down with the same flow, you could see it, you would have made your reactors years ago. You will see new compositions, new materials because of the salinity and what you have created in these boxes. You have always been on the right track in developing the technology, but because you don't understand it, you went for a full trip, but this trip brought a lot of knowledge. Now you can harvest the knowledge. You need one system in one city to feed the whole city with whatever it needs. That's simple, very, very simple. You saw the two reactors, you collected the material, we have seen the analysis. So in one reactor, in the interaction of them, every element more or less the man needs for food, energy, material is spread across the city. Depends which one you want. You want it as a field of the carbon in your body, you want it as a field of the hydrogen in the liquid of the mass of the man, you want the magnesium which you need for part of your neurosystem interaction, you need the copper for your muscles. You are fed as you walk, and you are fed from the universal energy. In the project which we are looking at, is what we are putting proposal is that we put these units across the city and we watch the cars coming into the city and going out. While they are city, they reduce the fuel consumption. When they're out of the field, the consumption goes back up. Do people will feel hungry? Will we feel hunger when we put these units if we load up the system according to the food energy consumption? Would the man of the city needs to go hungry? And when he's not hungry, he doesn't shop. Do we need to open supermarkets in these shops? People in the background who listen, they know exactly what we are talking about according to our negotiation. Do we need to foresee conditions of fueling in this? Would people stay in these environments, not to go out, that they don't need to feed themselves? Do we need to transfer food and gases, or do we set up a system above the ground that everybody in disaster zones receives warmth according to the blood circulation and receives energy for their food and everything else, and the antibiotics and the viruses balance and cleaning of the waters? The answer is yes. So why I started this with the report from Peter is because now you've seen it, you've done it. We don't. When we put the part, when I put the report in the book, everybody thought this is whatever. Now you've seen it. You created spectral material matter state. If a full slow Raman spectroscopy is done, you will see not only these materials, you will see the field of the other materials which they can't even see, waiting to be converted when the environment is created for it. The whole process of feeding conversion of energy moves away from generators, moves in the condition of understanding the field flow exactly how we see in the universe. The center is the principal center of the universe. As it flows further out, the way it reduces, in this part it becomes galaxy. And again, the same process of galaxy now is found its own center, creates the stars and then planets. Something which most of the scientists have never understood and understand. In the universe, we have two structures, especially in cosmology. You have stars which are created out of the interaction of the galaxies inside internal field flow, and you have stars which have no galaxies and they become on their own a singular entity. These are universal stars. These are the stars we see, majority of them are galaxial stars. They are different in behavior because galaxial stars always have one basic tritium on them. The stars which we see in, the universals are in tritium. The galaxies are in deuterium conversion. And then when it goes to a lower level, becomes the hydrogen, which is a matter state of the man. So in space, when you travel, you will see more the star universal system than you see the stars galaxial system. But in reality, the universal suns in the galaxy, in the structure of our universe, are very, very, very far